Hey everybody, we're a couple of weeks away from our road meeting. Bring a chair. Thursday, June 8th at David and Paula Sparks' house, 6 p.m. I'm sure you guys have noticed that there's work going on, and there are a few things that I want to point out prior to the meeting. So here we go. Come on, it's funny, right? So we're here at number 1, at the very first telephone pole on the right. There is a very large an active drainage ditch that goes to a culvert that goes underneath the road over to this drainage ditch, which goes to the brook. Of course, everybody has seen the pink writing on the road. Teresa Melanson is working with paving companies to get estimates on these spots. I do want to point out that this spot keeps popping up. It is directly over a culvert. Lovely drainage ditch that the Carlsons had put in, as well as replacing a culvert underneath number 17's driveway that leads down to the main road culvert. It is important that I point out this section of road here. A few years back, there were trees right against the roadway. The plow guy hit one of the trees with the wing of his plow and dislodged it. Fortunately, there was no damage, but we had to remove those trees for obvious reasons. During that time, the Carlsons found a sinkhole in this area. He could put a pipe down into the ground about 8 feet without any resistance. There once was a culvert that went from this drainage ditch underneath the road that drained down into the ditch here, which leads to a brook which goes down to the river. So we had to remove the trees, and I have tried to restore a drainage ditch that will lead down to there to keep this part of the road from washing out, because obviously if a large amount of soil gets washed out underneath the road and the section of road collapsed, it would have been extremely expensive to repair. So we'll have to keep an eye on it, but I think we have everything in a lot better shape than we were a couple of years back. Okay, we're on the other side of the culvert. I want to point out that I made an access to get down to the culvert to make it easier to assess, as well as to stage any work that will happen there in the future. Coming down the hill on the corner, I took and I put several runoffs into this waterway for the rainwater to escape, so that it doesn't just ride down the side of the road and erode the sides of our pavement. As you guys can see, I did the same thing here. So we are here next to the apartment building, and right here is where my property starts. So as you guys can see, I've made the shoulder of the road nice and tapered into a drainage ditch. This section of road once upon a time was the worst offender for the plow guy, because there were huge oak trees with branches that went over the road that the plow would hit the plow in the wintertime. So I had to pay to have them removed, and instead of just leaving this a terrible mess, I've tried to landscape it, and this has been the landing spot of one of our MVPs of the road, Joe the arborist. So he's been dropping chips here, which we've been using for erosion control, which is much appreciated. Thank you very much, Joe. I also want to point out over here, starting where the cones are to where the large pine trees start, that dirt was covering the pavement by about 18 inches. So this is the section of road from number 26. The Haskell's poor driveway was getting washed out every day that it rained, plus pretty much for the entire winter. They gave me permission to carve the road and the shoulders down. Last fall, I came down to the very end of the road here, and I think we got like 5 inches of rain overnight, and this whole area was basically underwater. So there's a swamp next to Griffin Drive, there's a culvert that goes down to the river. That's the Presumscot River. We have number 51 and number 50. This is where the plow turns around. He kind of pushes the snow to where the pipe is, and then he backs into the driveway and swings around. So eventually we need to build this area up and have it repaved to keep it from washing away. This will involve ditch work along both sides of the road, putting a culvert under number 50's driveway that goes into a drainage ditch there. Under 51 already has a culvert, but this is something that we should plan on in the future after some of the big pressing issues at the beginning of the road have been taken care of. So for those of you who are still awake and made it through, those are all the things that we have been working on and that me as commissioner have tried to deal with. I just want to point out that the money for the rental of the machine and fuel is all on my coin. We did not use road funds for that, but it's just an idea of how about $1,500 can go a very, very long way. If we have people who are willing to chip in and work on the road as a team, because hiring someone to do all the things that I pointed out in this video would have cost tens of thousands of dollars. So we could use some aggregates, road gravel, stone, and all that. I don't have the money to pay for that stuff, but perhaps we can talk more about it at the meeting. See you guys June 8th. 6 o'clock. Take care.